It was the best case scenario following a 28-hour standoff, with all three hostages released and the suspect taken into custody with minimal injuries. KNEB.TV News starts right now.
From your trusted source for news in western Nebraska and eastern Wyoming, this is KNEB.TV News. Presented by Platte Valley Companies, premier provider of financial services.
Hello, I'm Ryan Murphy. This is KNEB.TV News, powered by Platte Valley Companies. Thanks for joining me. In our top story, just after 8 p.m. Wednesday, 37-year-old suspect Bradley Garcia was taken into custody to conclude a lengthy armed standoff with authorities. The incident began Tuesday around 3 p.m. when deputies attempted to stop Garcia's vehicle for being in connection with stolen firearms. When Garcia failed to stop, authorities began a pursuit through Gehring, with Garcia firing shots at officers that ended with him crashing the vehicle into the garage at the house in the 2300 block of 19th Street. The home that Garcia crashed into is owned by his parents, and a sister-in-law and her two juvenile daughters were taken hostage when Garcia entered the home. About 2 hours after the standoff began, Garcia allowed the two minors to leave the home, but his sister-in-law was not released. A Facebook Live video showed Garcia streaming live from inside the house, and he had his sister-in-law call dispatchers and tell them that he wanted them to back off at least 1 block away, or he would start shooting them with his high-powered rifle. Multiple law enforcement agencies, including Scottsdale Police and the Nebraska State Patrol, responded immediately. In the video, Garcia also demanded to talk to the FBI because he said his civil rights had been violated. FBI agents started to arrive late Tuesday night, and additional agents and tactical units from Virginia were on scene by early Wednesday morning. Garcia's sister-in-law was released safely around 1:30 Wednesday afternoon, which was shortly followed by tactical units and armored vehicles moving into position around the home. Shortly after 2 p.m., multiple breach charges and flashbangs were set off at the home over the course of an hour, along with commands being given to Garcia to come out to the door with his hands up. Authorities attempted to have Garcia surrender over the next few hours, and other than an occasional flashbang or verbal command, very little activity was witnessed at the scene in the late afternoon. That changed around 7:45 p.m. when it became apparent that officers had waited as long as they were going to for Garcia to surrender. KNEB News heard multiple flashbangs and authorities yelling commands at Garcia, who had taken up a position in the attic. Multiple gunshots were heard, followed by 3 very loud percussions described by some as huge explosions just after 8 p.m. The blasts were strong enough to set off car alarms in the area. Authorities were able to take Garcia into custody a few minutes later, and the incident finally came to a close. He was transported to Regional West for a medical check and then booked into the Scottsdale County Detention Center around 12:45 a.m. Thursday morning. We'll have more news right after this.
Looking for free instead of fees? Platte Valley Bank can help you keep your finances moving forward with no ATM fees. Whether you're headed to the lake, the mountains, or just to the grocery store, you can enjoy the freedom of free ATM access anywhere, anytime. Platte Valley Bank. You belong here.
Concerns about the impact of the Sentinel missile project were a top subject during a question and answer session as Governor Jim Pillen held a town hall meeting in Kimball Monday afternoon. After his opening remarks, Pillen was asked about where the funding will come from for infrastructure related to the project after he vetoed $10 million in funding approved by the legislature earlier this year. A Kimball High School civics class was on hand, with one senior expressing concerns about sustaining the anticipated boom in the community.
We've seen it with, I feel like as a school, we've seen it with the wind techs and the oil techs. You know, they bring all their families in, but they're not here for a set amount of time. Right. So we plan on building all these things, and we plan on opening all these businesses and doing all this, but how do we support those businesses? How do we support this housing when these people are inevitably going to leave?
Pillen replied, no one wants more government to solve the issue, but rather it should be left up to the free market.
All of our communication with Northrop Grumman is that it's going to be focused on the camp, and it's not going to tax the infrastructure of Kimball. Now, if that changes, then we have to figure that out. So the last thing any of us want to do, whether it's the city of Kimball or the state of Nebraska, is to spend money that's going to be boarded up in 5 years.
The governor said if assurances from the Air Force and general contractor change regarding workforce and infrastructure, his office is on the team and will roll up their sleeves. Other topics discussed, including the potential for racinos in the Panhandle, as well as how locations that may not have private schools will benefit from the Opportunity Scholarship Act. And it was a short but highly productive special meeting of the Scottsbluff City Council Monday night. The biggest item was approving the final tax request and budget for the fiscal year that begins October 1st, with City Manager Kevin Spencer highlighting the crowning achievement.
I think the biggest thing is that we lowered our mill levy to 2046 down from 216. That would be one thing that I want to point out.
The council also approved an ordinance allowing them to exceed the allowable growth and limits by 1%, and an ordinance updating city utility fees for water, sewer, waste, and stormwater. In total, the meeting lasted just 7 minutes.
Morrill County Community Hospital and the behavioral health providers are here to help. Amber Dean specializes in mental health care, which includes medication and therapy across a person's lifespan. Melody Lacey helps people deal with a wide range of behavioral problems, from depression and anxiety to child psychiatry. Our dedicated team is committed to you and our community every time. At Morrill County Community Hospital, Bridgeport, Nebraska. Exceptional care right here at home.
Now, sports from the FNBO Sports Desk. FNBO, the great big small bank.
We've got some updates on some real diamond work, plus a pair of football games tomorrow night on the network. Let's start with the Field Turf Infield project at Cleveland Field. The work's been going on since early August. The Field Turf Infield starting to come together. Much of this project has been spearheaded by the Wesco Legion baseball program. Here's current head coach Dallas Liptak on the current timeline for the project.
Going to be done either late tomorrow or Friday, and we'll do a final walkthrough with them, get trained on how to do the maintenance and some other things, and just how to properly maintain the turf once they're gone. And we have a batting practice scheduled for Sunday, so it's that quick. And then Monday, the city has a crew coming out. They are going to re-level the outfield, because with the turf's up higher. So the city's helping us out and gonna get a crew in here to work on the outfield lines so that everything's even and looks real nice.
Liptak says it's been a real team effort from plenty of people, organizations, and companies to see this thing through to the finish line.
So this actually started under Coach Luber and the board that he had with him. the year that I stepped away from the program, they filed a grant for a shovel-ready grant during COVID. It was for projects that got shut down during COVID. They applied for it, and when I took over, we just kind of took it over and got approved for it. The Webbs and Wesco were big donators for it, and then we have state grant money from the state, and county tourism's been a real help. Simon Construction or Concrete got all the rock and the concrete for the project for the base work, and got the turf company. Eric Reichert Construction helped us out Monday when we needed to do a quick fix. It's been a lot of the community coming together.
You heard Coach say they'd be able to get out for some hitting and some workouts as early as this weekend. Then the Cougars, of course, will have their go during the springtime with the Summer Legion campaign a little bit later on further down the road. This new infield's definitely going to help combat some rainy weather in the ability to pick things up quickly after a shower passes through the region.
There is a drainage system underneath the turf and the rock that gets everything to the left and right field lines. So as long as the outfield stays playable, we'll be able to get back on the field as soon as the rain stops and teams are able to warm up again.
Great to see the sport of baseball getting an upgrade in town with the new field turf infield at Cleveland Field. Also yesterday, a change of location for the Gering football team for their practice due to the standoff situation near Gering High School. Practice was moved up to the Landers Complex in Scotts Bluff as Gering continued to prepare for their game on Friday at Lexington. Gering last week, well, they lost a tight one at home to Seward, and Gering coach Danny O'Boyle says despite the 1-4 record, things are starting to come together for his program.
Obviously I'd like to have a couple more wins at this point in the season, and we feel like we could have, but you can't change that, and so it's just moving forward, and I absolutely am proud of these guys. There's a lot of games on our schedule where I think in years past people would have expected us just to fold and kind of lay over, and our guys have done an excellent job of battling. There's been times where we've been down, we battled back. There's been times where we're ahead, we're in the fight, and we just keep plugging away. So this is a very resilient group, and I really like the way we're looking heading into this last stretch of the season when we need to get a couple of wins. Our guys are hungry. Their mindsets haven't shifted. We're pressing on, and we're going to give it everything we've got going forward.
Gering at a Lexington team tomorrow that's been outscored 150-0 over their last 3 games. Of course, a huge game at Bearcat Stadium tomorrow night with 3-2 Scotts Bluff hosting 5-0 Waverly. After 2 straight losses, the Cats with a statement game opportunity against one of the best teams in Class B. Cats head coach Judd Hall.
I have to take care of ourselves. Can't turn the ball over. I have to be willing to committing to playing harder and longer than they do. So that's going to be the focus of practice this week, is just playing as hard as they can and then trying to play harder longer than they do.
Waverly coming off a 28-0 road shutout win over York. That is the latest today from the FNBO Sports Desk. I'm Chris Cottrell.
Let's take a look at your community calendar, brought to you by Riverstone Bank. The community calendar is brought to you by Riverstone Bank. We're local and we love our community.
At Renewal by Andersen, they make the best windows and patio doors you can get. But they've also set the gold standard for service. At Renewal by Andersen, their signature service is second to none.
It's old school quality. This type of service doesn't exist outside of Renewal.
Renewal by Andersen's signature service, trust, respect, care. Renewal by Andersen. You'll be delighted like so many others are. Visit rbawyoming.com now to book your free estimate.
Tired of feeling stuck? Not sure if you are on the right track? Platte Valley Bank can help keep your finances moving forward with checking account options to fit your lifestyle and an online account chooser to make finding the right account easy. Control your financial future with helpful budgeting tools and automatic savings plans. Now is the time to enjoy the ride with Platte Valley Bank. You belong here.
And finally tonight, organizers of the Monument Marathon are reminding the public that a number of roadways across the region will be closed partially or completely for time to accommodate Saturday's annual Monument Marathon. The closures will start as early as 7 a.m. Saturday, lasting anywhere from 90 minutes up to just over 4.5 hours for segments along scenic Old Oregon Trail Road from Five Rocks to Highway 92. Most of the closures will only be one lane, but there are 5 segments to be closed to all but local traffic, and one, Five Rocks Road from Kimball Avenue north to M Street, that will be closed to all traffic. For details, you can find this story online at kneb.com. Well, that does it for us this time. Thank you so much for tuning in. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you here next time.